introduction, and yeah, welcome to my talk. So let me quickly just prepare my computer. All right, yeah, welcome to my presentation on why decomposing textual aspects of online customer reviews can be useful. So this paper is actually joint work with Steffen Zimmermann, Kilian Züllig, and Stephanie Ernebach from the University of Ulm, and it's one of our most recent piece of research that we're doing on the related to online reviews. So online reviews, they're really relevant. I guess all of you have at least one, very often probably looked on online reviews, and yeah, so you're not very special actually. Most of the consumers, when purchasing online, they read online consumer reviews, and they're particularly helpful because they help to reduce information asymmetries. So when you don't know something about the product, you don't have a tangible experience with a product, you see a new restaurant, for instance, then probably you go on Google Maps and check the star rating, and then, okay, it looks like a nice place, for instance. And existing research has really found, very strong evidence that they also influence their consumers' purchase decision in total. So really, consumers look at the ratings, and they really influence consumers' purchase decision, and that's somewhat related, of course. Consumer reviews also have an impact on retail sales. So also for companies, it's important to have basically positive online reviews, because then people are more likely to buy the products. And yeah, so all good, right? Online reviews are nice. However, too much of a good thing can also be a bad thing sometimes. And that's also true for online reviews. So when you have a look on Google Maps, for instance, for the Tower Bridge, there are quite a few online reviews outstanding, and also for Google Maps for just any electronic device. So we can see more than 200,000 reviews. So probably, you probably know what I'm going to talk about here. It's about information overload. So probably no one is actually going to read all these different reviews, and it actually has an impact. So these textual reviews, they influence also consumers' perceived overload, and also have an impact on the purchase intention. So that's really, yeah. Okay. Moment. Sorry. Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, does it work now? Perfect. So you all missed my nice animations. But yeah, so basically let me just go quickly one slide too. So what I was referring to is, when you have a look on, sorry for those guys joining online. So when you have a look on these reviews here from the Tower Bridge, also on Amazon, there are a huge number of outstanding reviews, and that's basically leading to an information overload. So some piece of research show that very long review texts, they also lead to the case that people or consumers perceive an overload, and it also lowers their purchase intention. The same is true also for the number of existing reviews. So when we have this huge amount of existing reviews, it also leads to an information overload of consumers and lowers their purchase intention. And finally, that's also done by some research from my side and co-authors, consumers basically ignore most of the reviews outstanding for their final purchase decision. So there is some kind of summing up that thing here. Consumers do not really make their best informed decision, because they focus, so when they see a lot of reviews, when they see long reviews, really they perceive this kind of information overload, and basically they ignore also most of the reviews outstanding. So for companies and also for consumers, it's really important to avoid this kind of an information overload. So not only for businesses, because they want that their consumers hopefully they want that consumers make good decisions, good best informed decision, but also for consumers, when they are not really sure what to buy, they should also use the most helpful information. And so the point is here, reviews actually should focus on only a few reviews, otherwise they would have this kind of information overload, and they should basically focus on helpful reviews. And when having a look on what current review platforms do, there are different sorting options. So that's one possibility to reduce information overload. So when we have a look here on Amazon, for instance, you can simply sort for most recent, and then it basically should ensure that the content is up to date, so that you will have the most recent information about the product. However, and it's also some research that we did, I did with my co-authors here, the most recent reviews are not the most informative ones. So in terms of review length, this implies that, and actually the kind of phenomenon we actually observe here is that reviews socially loathe when they already see there's a huge number of existing reviews. Just take the Tower Bridge in London into account. So why should I actually write a lot of a long review when there are that many reviews outstanding? So really, I can really rely on the others and don't really have to write, or I don't have to really the feeling that I need to write more text about it because there's anyway so much outstanding. So the consequence here is, and we also observed that based on empirical data, that the more reviews are outstanding, the lower the textual length of the review actually is. So that's the one thing that sorting for most review is maybe not so optimal. Then probably you all observed also there's this different sorting. So on Amazon, it's actually quite prominent that we have these top reviews here. So you don't really know how they are selected. They inform a little bit, or Amazon informs that it's mostly sorted for those reviews that have received the most helpfulness votes, which actually makes sense, right? So when you think, okay, that's a nice review, let's vote it up, and it implies that these reviews are based on user votes. So we have this crowd learning about which review is helpful and which review is less helpful, which is perfectly nice. However, there's also a problem because there is this kind of a first mover advantage, meaning that when you write a review very early, so the product is rather new, and you write a review, it's informative, then this review gets a lot of votes. When you later on write, or another consumer writes a review, maybe even more helpful, it's very likely that this one is not upvoted because there is already one review showing up on top with a lot of helpfulness votes, and then people are more likely to vote this up instead of going through the others and scanning for even more helpful reviews. So there's a risk that other even more helpful reviews are not shown on top of the page. So yeah, so what? The point is actually what is helpful content. So when we have a lot of different reviews, also within the text, we need to find what kind of content is helpful and which content is less helpful. One possibility that actually a lot of research did is using these helpfulness votes and determining, so just running a regression, saying, okay, what is the kind of text in the reviews and checking what is the number of helpfulness votes. But that's not really optimal. It's actually quite critical because we have this kind of first mover advantage of the existing reviews. So these helpfulness votes, they are biased. Our focus is therefore, we have a detailed look on the textual content. So we really are interested what kind of textual content might be more and less helpful. For this purpose, we simply built on an existing paper by Su et al., who identified 3 main aspects in reviews. So it's about product, it's about seller, and it's about customer. So I'm not going into detail here what's included. I just want to focus on one thing here, and that's the price. And the price can be critical in our opinion, because when you think of the price, price is really purchase specific. So of course it's somewhat related to the product as well. But if you write a review and you say, okay, that's a perfect price, and the next potential consumer reads the review and has a much higher price, then it might be biased. So purchase specific aspects, and particularly price aspects, they are really not stable over time, and therefore that's our opinion, or our hypothesis actually, that they are not so helpful as well. Furthermore, and I will also show you a direct example here, with the omnipresence of offers, it's even more likely that reviews include purchase information. So what does it mean, the omnipresence of offers? When you go on Amazon or go on any other e-commerce website, you see, okay, there's any deal going on at the moment. So there is every time a special offer, kind of a scarce promotion or something like this. So it's really all the time. And we also have the hypothesis, or we expect that when something like this is going on, when a special offer is going on, then people are even more likely to write about the purchase information here. So summing up, we expect again that purchase aspects are perceived as least helpful for potential readers, and we expect that these purchase aspects are very prominent during large-scale shopping events. And I will come to in a minute to what actually a large-scale shopping event is. So in this paper, or in this piece of research, what we do an empirical analysis. We analyze text, review texts. Therefore, there are some requirements. Of course, we need some platform that has online reviews available. Then we also require that, of course, all the 4 aspects need to be addressed or need to be relevant. So services does not make sense. We focus on products, electronic products to be specific. Large-scale shopping event, that's also perfectly fine for the electronics because we have Black Friday soon coming up. And then, you know, that's really a large-scale shopping event where it's really all about these deals and getting a good offer and so on. Then one requirement, particularly to analyze our hypothesis regarding the large-scale shopping event, is that we need to know when was the purchase date. So for instance, we could not use Amazon because they don't have this information, neither on the website nor in the source code. So I'll come in a minute to what kind of data we use. And finally, we also focus on a very homogeneous product group, so TVs, which simply makes it easier for text mining. In the next paper or the next version of the paper, we might also think about more heterogeneous product group, but for the beginning, we focus on some very heterogeneous product group here. So we use data from Best Buy. It's an American retail seller. And when you have a look on the website, at the moment, you also see the deals right now. And they are already starting about talking about Black Friday as well. So it's really, but the page actually looks every day the same. So it's really great deals every day. So yeah, but the same is also true for Amazon and all the other websites. And when you have a look on the reviews, that's really the cool thing about this data here from Best Buy, because they not only have the date when the review was posted, but also how long the reviewer owned the product. And by this, we can simply infer what was the purchase date. We can get this data actually pretty clearly because we not only have these 2 weeks, but we have really the days of ownership in a number, so in a count of days, which is pretty nice. So we can very specifically refer when was the purchase date. So for getting the data, we really focus on Black Friday shopping event. However, we even before in mid-October started to check, okay, what kind of products are available on Best Buy, what kind of TVs are available at Best Buy and at what price. Then during Black Friday, we monitored the Best Buy website again and just checked, okay, which TVs are on sale, which TVs are available for Black Friday event. And then after 3 months, we scraped all the reviews outstanding, and then we focused on purchase dates beginning from mid-July, so that we don't have the Independence Day in our reviews, because there are also a lot of offers on Best Buy, until the end of the Black Friday shopping weekend, which is Cyber Monday. So in total, we have 30,000 reviews from 115 products. Average rating is quite high, and the average number of words is what, 30. So as I told you before, we have this kind of classification of context. So we think about these 4 aspects, so the customer, the product, the purchase, and also the seller. And as a first step, we had a look on unsupervised classification. So for this purpose, we did some pre-processing, text pre-processing. We put the reviews because they're rather short by product and rating, and looked what kind of topics can be discovered by using an LDA topic model. So we based on a coherence score, we ended up with 7 topics in total. We were able to put 2 topics together, and that's the main result here. So you can see there are 5 topics which are basically more or less meaningful. It's about installation, so putting the screen on the wall, for instance. So that sounds like installation, first one. That's about the quality, where you can very often see, yeah, it's picture quality color. So that's the most relevant keywords in these 2 topics which you put together to quality. Product, failure, issue, when there are some problems, and then also the usage. So it worked quite well, but when you have a close look on these things here, you can see that the price and purchase aspects are scattered around the topics, and that's a problem. So it wasn't really successful in finding this very specific purchase aspects here, identifying them, because they're simply scattered around all these topics. So that's the reason why we switched to supervised classification. And yeah, we simply created a label training data set because we already had this definition of review aspects. So we were sure, okay, what to expect in which aspect. So I'm not going into detail here on this on this table here, but for instance, for the purchase aspect, it's really, so we have a clear definition what we expect referred to purchase aspects or the purchase conditions, or surprise, discounts, promotion. So it's really about the individual purchase conditions that we have here in our definition, and we could use this definition simply to create the labeled data set. So we had we split it all OCRs, so all online consumer review texts into single clauses because they are likely to address one of the aspects. We randomly selected 2,000 of the clauses for labeling, and then we had 2 human coders, and if there was a disagreement, a third coder was consulted. Since sometimes the coder were not sure really whether it matched to any of the aspects, we also had this fifth category, other, if they're not sure about it. We assessed the quality of this labeling with intercoder reliability, and yeah, the agreement was pretty high for the 2 coders, keeping in mind that it was not a binary selection, so it was 1 of 5. And I think for 84 is for this not so trivial task pretty high, also from recommendations from existing literature here. With this labeled training data set, we then you applied a convolutional neural network. So this was it's more or less state of the art. So even though it's a bit older, but this paper or this algorithm, sorry, by Kalkbrenner et al. Works really well for short text and was applied for tweets, reviews, and so on. Yeah, it uses, as usual, a vector representation of reviews. So we used word2vec here, and it requires no additional pre-processing of text. Because it simply detects also text patterns and structures, so that's why no pre-processing, no feature engineering is necessary. From these 2,000 labeled clauses, we then used 90% for training data. The remaining 10% were used for out of the sample test, and the accuracy was also here pretty good. So which lead us to the fact that we now simply classified all the clauses from the entire data set, and we have in the following a look on the proportion of aspects and also on the frequency of aspects per review. And let me start with the proportion of aspects. So here you can see that, of course, from an average, on average, so that's averaged over the entire data set, of course. Most important, so most proportion here is the information about the product, which makes sense, so whether the product is good or bad, and so on. Then customer simply means whether they recommend it or not. And then next is already the purchase aspects. So here people are talking about the price, whether it was a great deal, amazing price, or something like this. So it's really relevant. And just coming back to the data set again, so we had this purchase dates of reviews. We could also differentiate between regular purchases and Black Friday purchases. And so the regular purchases, they started in mid of July because we don't want to have this Independence Day sale shopping event as well in the data set. And we ended in mid-October because then already the first pre-Black Friday offer started. So just to not have these potential Black Friday purchases also in our data set. And for the Black Friday purchases, we only focused on the reviews starting on Black Friday until Cyber Monday. So, and now we can compare those two the reviews from these purchases, and we see not really a high difference, but as expected, however, Black Friday purchases have a higher proportion of purchase aspects. It gets a bit more interesting when you have a look on frequency. So how often is one of the aspects mentioned within a review? We have 30% is a purchase, and then it really differs quite substantially for Black Friday purchase. So here it's about 1/3 of the reviews include some information about the purchase, which is really interesting. And also here, maybe interesting side note, that's also what we report in the paper, that not only the text differs, so the textual content differs, but also the actual rating differs. So we observed that the rating is higher during these Black Friday events, and I already talked to Matthias, who introduced me, that this might also lead that people simply feel smarter when they get a good deal, and that they also think, okay, then they feel more happy about the product because they got a good deal, snapped the deal, and so it includes also their proudness of getting this deal. That's could be some explanation why the interval rating was observed to be higher there. But I'm not going into detail for this. I refer to the paper by myself and my co-authors. But let me now come to a short conclusion here. So we have these purchase aspects. They are prominent in the textual content of reviews. And we observe more purchase aspects during these large-scale shopping events. But we don't really know about helpfulness at the moment. And as you remember, the talk was about helpfulness. So that's why we finally also used a crowd worker task. So we start to create a matched review sample here. So the first group, which has no review aspects in the reviews. So all reviews that have no reviews, no purchase aspect at all in reviews. And the other group includes at least a small proportion of purchase aspects. Then we try to make the sample as similar as possible. So we only had the same rating, same ownership time, and also similar length, similar sentiment, and similar price. So that we really at the end have a very more or less well-matched sample of reviews, which only differ in amount or whether there was a purchase aspect mentioned or not. For this work, or for this task, we then invited 100 crowd workers from Amazon. We included attention checks, of course, and then we randomly assembled 10 review pairs, so for each crowd worker from these matched review sample. So it was totally random, 10 reviews from the group 1, 10 reviews from the other group 2, and then they have to decide which review is more helpful. So here, that's a screenshot from the actual experiment, from the study. So these are very, very short reviews, probably. Not sure. I hope you can read it also from online. Those guys who are joining virtually, but the length is very, very much the same. Rating 5 stars. All the ownage time is the same. And then when you have a close look, there's just one short notice about the grade price, which is not here. So here we can only see on the left-hand side, great, amazing picture, sound easy to use, Apple TV is built in, excellent feature. And for the other review on the right-hand side, we see that it's also mentioned there's a price. So it's a great price, all for this great price. And then we run the experiment. We asked 100 empty workers, and we observed that, yeah, 56% of the votes actually were for those reviews that do not include purchase aspects. Since we asked our empty workers to rate more than one of the reviews, we also applied a conditional logic simply to allow for clustered standard errors at the participant level. And also these results indicate that this difference between the votes is statistically significant. Furthermore, when we only look at the first round, so here we have only really the first review pair that is shown to the empty workers, and we dropped those who are really very quick, so the 5% of the quickest. Also, this result is significant, which is, in my opinion, quite impressive because we have a very low N, and as you can see here, the review text, they are really very, very similar. But still, they observe that, or they think that, or they perceive the right review as less helpful than the left one. So coming to conclusion of my talk, so as I motivated my paper or my talk here, information overload is an issue due to online reviews. Sorry, is an issue not only for consumers but also for businesses. And the existing procedures to sort reviews, most recent or most relevant, they can reduce overload, information overload, but they have the shortcomings. First, okay, that their most recent reviews are maybe not the most helpful ones, and also that if you sort for the most helpful and most relevant ones, that there is this first mover advantage. So what we therefore conclude is that really learning about review content helps or can help to identify the most helpful reviews. We see that supervised approach is way better in identifying this clear structure of the review text, particularly because we have this great definition of what we expect to see in the reviews. We observed that purchase-related content is perceived as less helpful. And finally, also that purchase-related content is most prominent or more prominent during these large-scale shopping events like Black Friday. So that's it. Thank you for your attention. And if you have any questions, feel free, also virtually, to ask.